Hello, and welcome to the first episode in this series of import and export. This is the first episode, and we will be looking at Alembic. It is one of the most reliable formats for moving baked animation and simulation between different 3D applications. And even though I say that, we will primarily be working in Blender in this series because we will basically be making a small scene. We will export using the associated file format of the episode, and then we'll basically just re-import to see what gets brought with the file type and what gets left behind. So if you've ever needed stable, predictable results without dragging rigs or solvers along for the ride, Alembic is the format you'll want to understand. So to begin, what is it? Alembic is essentially a baked-down version of your animation or simulation. Once you export to Alembic, everything is pre-calculated, so therefore there's no rigs, no constraints, and no procedural systems. It's like handing someone a finished animation clip rather than the entire Blender file with all of the moving parts. And because it's baked, it plays back smoothly, even with heavy scenes, as everything is pre-calculated. And it was also originally developed by ILM and Sony ImageWorks for high-end VFX pipelines, so you'd hope it's built for reliability. So now we've covered what it is, let's have a look at when to use it. So you use Alembic when you're done with the animation or simulation. If you've ever got a cloth, particle or a character animation and you don't want to accidentally break it, Alembic locks it in. It's also perfect for moving heavy animated data between Blender, Houdini, Maya and Nuke and any other 3D software that supports Alembic as a file format. And because it removes all of the overhead of rigs and solvers, it reduces CPU load during rendering. It is also useful for consistent and unbreakable results. So now that we've covered when to use it, let's have a look at the pros. So the biggest advantage is stability and predictability. It has fast playback, and because of its usefulness, it is cross-software friendly as the vertices are baked and you're essentially just importing a finalized animation. And basically, what you baked is exactly what you get, so there's no surprises. Now that we've had a look at the pros, let's have a look at the cons. So one of the cons is the fact that the trade-off is flexibility. You have no rigs, no constraints or sim settings, as you only have the final result. Once it's baked, you can't tweak the animation either. And then because it stores a lot of vertex data per frame, Alembic files can actually get quite large. So in overview, Alembic stores final baked animation and simulation as per frame geometry and transforms. It's fast and predictable for render teams because there are no rigs or solvers to break. Now that you know Alembic is for locked in caches, let's move into the practical. Now that we've gone over Alembic in theory, we can now go over it in practice. So we're just going to delete all of this and then we're going to make this basically our file for where we're going to show all of our different import-export types. So we're going to start this off by typing in Alembic up here. So what we're going to do is we're going to save this as our main file types folder, so we'll just call this file types, and then what we'll do is we'll just save this as file types.blend. So to begin, as we know, Alembic stores the final vertex data. So what we want to do is bring in a mesh and bring in our cylinder, and then we're just going to move this up on the Z like so. Then what we're going to do is just drag this all the way up like so, and then add a few loop cuts, and then we'll just start squaring it off. And then what we want to do is select the bottom set of vertices here, and then we're going to go over to our data and we'll just call this pin. And this is because what we're going to be doing now is we're going to be turning this into a cloth simulation. So what I'm going to do is just come over to our physics and apply cloth and then turn it into cotton, and then if we click play, as you'll see, it just collapses. So what we need to do is come down here to shape and pin it. So now we can see that all we've got is our collapsing tube. And then so what we're going to do is go into our force field and add a wind that points up. Just move it on the Y so we get a visual of how it's going to look, and then we're going to put this to frame 100 because 250 seems a bit excessive, and then we're going to frame all, click play, and then we're going to throw the strength up to 1,000 will probably do it to some extent. There we go, you just saw it start flapping there. There we go. So what we've got is our animation. So we can see that we're moving at a nice 24 FPS. So what we want to do is maybe just come in and then select all and then subdivide it a couple more times. And then hopefully this will start to chug. Like so. So this is basically the result of what we're getting. So doing this simulation is going to cost us some time. So what we can do is, another thing I want to showcase is if we do our material and type in something along the lines of, I don't know, face flailing tube, and then what we can do is we can just wait for the crosshair to appear, and then if we go to our shader editor and then we bring in a image texture, none of this is really important, I'm just showcasing what this exports. So if we just call this face and then new image, go to texture paint and then change this to white, and then what we can do is we can just draw a quick little face like so. I won't save it for now, and then we'll go back to our layout, look at our material preview, and then what we should have is a nice chugging along simulation here. So as you can see, this is going to take a while, so what we can do is we can export Alembic, and then what we'll do is in our file types we will call this Alembic. We want the scale to be 1, we want selection only, frame 1 to 100, and we want our UVs, normals, etc. These are fine, we can triangulate even if we want to, why not? And then we don't really have any hair or particles, so we're just going to deselect them for now. So then we're just going to call this alembic.abc, so it's basically alembic.alembic. So we'll go for the first 21% because it's already cached in, so what we're doing now is just basically baking the rest of the simulation, and while it does that I'm going to go over into this unsaved, and then I'm going to make a new file, and we're just going to call this, basically we're going to mirror exactly what we're doing before, but what we're going to do is we're just going to make this our playground to showcase the import side of it. So now that that's getting close to being done, like so, what we can do now is have a reference. So when it's not cached, we're playing at about 5 to almost 3 frames per second, and that's at frame 41. So if we come over to our playground, as it were, so what we'll do is we'll do save as, go to downloads, and then we'll just file types, and then we'll call this playground, like so. And then what we can do is we can import our Alembic file. We want the scale to be 1, set the frame range, and then this is all fine. So there you go, it's made it 100 again. And what we might notice is we haven't really got our texture with us, because if we go to our shader editor, it doesn't necessarily carry that over because it only carries the final vertex data. So if I was to go back into this and go into our texture paint and save this, and we just call this face.png, save as, because one thing that I want to showcase is we carry our UVs over. So if we go to our playground, and then we just type this in and type in flailing tube face, like so, and then we come over and we go to image texture, and then if we drag that in and then we open and then we pull up the face, we'll see that we've got this here. And then if we go back into our file types and we go into our UVs this time, and what we will do is look at our material preview like so, we'll highlight all the faces, and then what we can do is we can just drag this down, for example. So we've deformed it clearly enough, things are starting to merge. So now if we go and export this as Alembic UV adjusted, for example, and then export Alembic, obviously it will have to go through the same process again. So while we're dealing with that, we can go to our playground, and as you can see, we've got this. So if we click play, we're sitting at a nice 24 frames per second, and that's while it's being baked in this other file as well. So as we can see, the wind clearly isn't enough after we added all those extra vertices, but so far things have carried over quite nicely. So even though we're going to keep this face here, what we're going to do is we're going to wait for this to just finish baking out. So we're 73, 74 frames in. And then what we're going to do is we'll just go back to our playground, because once that's imported, and then what we can do is we can call this flailing tube face normal. And then what we can do is we can just move that on the Y a little bit. And what we'll do is we'll import our second one, which is UV adjusted. We'll give it the exact same material, and as you can see, it's carried the UVs over as well. So yeah, the other thing that we can possibly cover is if we come back in and we rename this to flailing tube person thing, we'll call it a thing, and then what we can do is we can just file, export, Alembic, and then if we overwrite our UV adjusted, for example, and then just let that quickly go over and do exactly what it's doing now, and then if we come back into our playground, we should be able to import it again, and then it will automatically be named flailing tube thing. There we go. So just remember that what we're doing here, that's the wrong file format. Just remember what we're doing here is we are just showcasing that we're exporting it from Blender and then we're re-importing to Blender, so it might act slightly differently, but it shouldn't really be different depending on your 3D software, because as we can see, the UVs will export as UVs, and again we've got it as an Alembic. Everything should be the same in terms of the vertex data per frame being baked, and that is basically what we've got here. So yeah, that should be the first stage for Alembic. Now we can move on to phase 2, which is basically looking at the simulation side of this, which is basically hair and particle sims. So what we can do is we can go back into our file types scene, and what we can do is if we select our object and go to our particles tab and then just click plus, and then we can name this our hair system, and then what we'll do is select hair, we'll add 8 segments, we'll give it 5,000 strands, and then because we want it to chug along, we'll add hair dynamics as well. We've got wind here, so if I click play you'll see it skyrocket. So what we want to do is we want to limit our wind to say 0.004, and then if we click play we'll see that the top part falls and nothing drastically flies up, nothing collapses too much, and then yeah, so now that we've got our hair we can now also make our particle system. Oh, that's our hair system. So if we call this Alembic particle sim, and then we'll just keep it at 1000, we can put this down to 100 frames and render as halo, and then same again, we'll just, in fact we'll keep that, we'll make it so that they rise really fast. So now what we can do is see that we've got a 1.2324, basically not 24 frames per second. So what we can do now is come over to File, Export Alembic, and then we'll call this Alembic Hair Particles. Selection only, and then scroll down and make sure that we've got hair and particles selected. So we'll just let this bake out now. So there we go, now we have our exported system. So if you come over to our playground, and then what we can do is shift this off to the right, and because we are importing a hair and particle system, what we can do is we can create a new collection and we'll call these single flailing tube things, and then we'll just throw those in there, and then what we can do is we can highlight the Alembic collection and then import Alembic and hair particles. So as you can see, 3 sets come in. So to begin, what we can do is we can select our original mesh and add our face to it, and if we click play we've got chugging a little bit, so if we just remove these and then go back and click play, we're moving at 24 FPS again, and as you can see, that's some smooth hair dynamic playback along with our particles shooting off. So things that we can change is, if we just hide those for a moment, what we can do is we can see that our texture is still applied to our mesh, and because we've still got particle data and hair data, what we can do is, in Blender anyway, is if we pull up our geometry node editor and click new, and then if we call this our hair color basically, and what we can do is if we just do curve to tube, and then if we do a set material like so, and then apply that, and then if we turn the tubes down, say maybe 0.01, something along them lines, and if we come to make a new material and call this hair, and then if we name this one hair as well, that means we can change the hair color to pink, red, yellow, green, blue, something like that. And then we can do the same sort of process with our particles. So if we just add in a cube, for example, and then what we can do is we can call this our UV cube, and I'm just going to give a simple image texture from one that's already built into Blender. So we're just going to call this our UV underscore grid, and we'll just select UV grid here and click new image. So as you can see, the grid is there. So we'll just hide the cube for a moment, and then we'll select the particles because they are this symbol here, and we'll just click new, and we'll do our particle sim cubes. So what we want to do is we want to select our object, which will be our UV cube, and then what we want to do is just drag over, and then we want to instance on elements. So what we've got here is if we just plug this in, we'll see our UV cubes will fly up like so, and that is basically it, because at the end of the day we do have particle data and we can still instance on point, or in this case instance on elements, and then because our cube's got our texture on it, it just carries that over anyway. So hopefully we've learned something. I've definitely learned something, and we can now move on to the next file type, which is USD. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.